Let's go to this week's schedule, Matt, and let's do the small schools first, because you're thinking about going to the Dakota Forreston game, and Rick Schmitz over at Dakota. I think he's pretty excited because he was talking about Galena already, but he can't overlook Forreston.
No, not at all. You can't overlook Forreston, and those are two programs that are playing some really, really good football. Obviously, Forreston is a defending state champ and just beat the number one team that was ranked in 1A. But Dakota's really done some good things. 2-0. They haven't played necessarily tough competition yet, but they're 2-0, and I know Coach Schmitz was very excited about what they had. He feels they got a good physical football team, which I know he likes to have. So I think that could be just a dogfight next week.
Christian Life, of course, now at 2-0. Matt was at that game. They're playing Saturday next week against Westminster Christian. I think their next challenge might be Ottawa Marquette.
Chicago Hope is going to be their big challenge.
That's right. They're playing well, too.
And you look at Westminster Christian, and I think playing on the road, I think that's going to be a tough game. That's a team that the week before Christian Life beat Mooseheart, Westminster Christian beat them 60-0, beat Mooseheart.
So it'll be a good matchup.
Now they did lose to Chicago Hope last night, pretty big. I think it was like 40-14 or something like that. But I think on the road, that's still a good challenge for Christian Life, and obviously they're not going to look ahead to Chicago Hope, but I think that's their big challenge this year in the conference.
Big Northern West, we have not heard yet what Stillman Valley is going to do with that game last night with Richmond Burton, so this might change some of the things going on. One of the games that probably be the big one for Rockford Lutheran, they're on the road, that 60-some mile trip.
Yep.
They'll be down in Dixon, and sometimes after you had two games where you really didn't have to play that hard, basically, which they haven't.
Oh, yeah.
You got to play a team like Dixon who's playing pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's a big, big game, and I think that is the game for Lutheran in the conference this year. Dixon played well last year and gave them a bit of a challenge last year, and they've got a really, really good program. It's been a good addition to the Big Northern West. I think that is a tough game. I do think Byron, they got a win last night. I think they're still going to be good over the course of the season. You can never overlook Winnebago or Stillman Valley or even Oregon. But I do think Lutheran is a class of that conference, but I think this is the game right here. If you're wanting to look at a game where you say somebody might trip them up, or
give them a game.
Or give them a game. I do think this is a game where James Robinson is going to have to earn some yards. I don't think it's going to be 8 carries and 7 touchdowns. It might be. He's pretty good.
Well, Quincy Notre Dame was state ranked.
Yeah. So I mean, it might be because he is that good, but I don't think it's going to be a game necessarily that comes out that way. He still might have 200 or 300 yards, and he might have 5 or 6 touchdowns, but I think he's going to have to earn a little bit more of it.
And I've been asking around, that Chicago Bear story that you posted the other day. It keeps saying he committed to Iowa. It's the third time I've heard it, and I'm trying to find somewhere to confirm
and
it.
They had it in their press release. I know we were trying to confirm it, but
remember last week I said I saw that on another.
It was right in their press release. So I'm guessing that they vetted that out and
they didn't put that in on their own.
Right.
Somebody had to tell them that.
Exactly.
So it looks like he's committed to Iowa, but we want to try to get something official. I got some feelers out there for that. So also, Stillman Valley is scheduled to play Winnebago. That'll depend on what's going on. It's going to be a terrible week at Stillman Valley. So
you wonder because obviously there's really not a point. There's no bye week, so there's not like you can throw it into a different week.
So if they're going to play it, they're going to have to play it
Monday.
Labor Day would probably.
Yeah, I think that's about the last time you could probably do it and still be able to bounce back by the next Friday.
And there's a funeral probably going to be taking place. Yeah, and that's just sad.
It's a horrible situation.
In case you didn't hear real quick, Matt, cheerleaders were in a crash last night. One has passed away, and the other 2 are in critical condition.
Yeah, it might. Boy, you hate to see it like this, but I don't know if maybe it'll just come down to where they'll have to forfeit the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
right
what'll
now,
happen to something like that.
Anyway.
It's not, it's not at all.
I mean, I saw one young lady tweeted last night, it's unimaginable that I've lost my best friend.
Yeah.
Boy, that brought tears to my eyes a little bit. That was sad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the NIC 10. There's some pretty good games scheduled in the NIC 10. Probably the one a lot of people will be keeping an eye on is Auburn and Belvedere North, especially with Belvedere North's fast start now.
Hey, you got both teams sitting at 2-0, so that's a big, big game early in the conference. When you look at the conference race, the winner of that game will certainly have a leg up in that competition. And, obviously some tougher games down the road because you got Hononegah and Harlem in that mix too. But the winner of that game is really going to be sitting in a good spot, having a win over one of those top teams like that. So I think that's a very, very good game. Interested to see. If you would have asked me about this before last night, I would have said, you know what, I think Auburn's probably going to go in and win that game, and they still very well might. But I was very, very impressed with what Belvedere North was able to do last night and winning that game, kind of going away against Belvedere. And, I think they've really, really built up a good program there. And I think that is going to be a great game, maybe one of the games of the year when you look at it.
Hindsight,
and two of the two programs that have really built up something really good here.
And I tell you what, chess had Bobby Fischer, remember back in the old days? These two coaches here are kind of like those chess masters.
Right.
They do what they have to do to get a win.
Yeah, and that's what's been so impressive about Belvedere North. They lost so much from last year.
Everybody.
And and they're running a completely different system. Last year it was all about the quarterback, and they had that great passing game. They're running the ball now. I think they're running like an option offense and just completely changed the way that they played, and they just keep rolling along.
Didn't Coach Beck tell us that might be to his advantage in the early part of the year?
Yeah.
So anyway, that'll be a good matchup. I think that's the game I'm going to be going to. A game that a lot of people are going to keep an eye on, Boylan and Hononegah. We looked up, when did you find out? Boylan hasn't been 0-2 for a long time.
Yeah,
if they were 0-3, it'd be a real long time.
Yeah, on the IHSA website, I think it only goes back to like 97, and I couldn't find an 0-2 start. The only thing, there was one year they started 1-3, but it wasn't, they won their second game.
Yeah.
And there was one year where they had lost 3 in a row in the middle of the season. One of those was a non-conference game because you were still the Nick 9 at that point. But beyond that, they are staring down something that they haven't had to stare down in a really long time. And boy, it doesn't get much easier after. You look at Hononegah, not given up a point yet this year. You can't feel good about Boylan going in there to that environment. And Hononegah will still be pumped for that game.
Well, no matter what you say, it's still Boylan.
And that's the thing.
That's still Boylan. And people, if we can beat Boylan, we feel good.
And people are going to be licking their chops in a year like this, because, again, Boylan had just 10 years of dominance here in this conference. And really even more than that when you go back historically. So, Hononegah is going to be licking their chops. I know they're going to have a game with Harlem still to come. They still got Belvedere North ahead, and even Guilford, I think, is going to be looking at that one, saying, "Oh yeah,
here we go.
Let's get a shot at that one." A big game for Boylan, I think. Because if you drop that one, that's going to be tough. And something else I mentioned, I kind of touched about this. Is playing Hononegah and Auburn back to back, because those are two of the most physical teams. I talked about that with East. You play those two teams back-to-back, what's the rest of your season going to look like? Because they will beat you up.
And a game to keep an eye on before we check out, Guilford or Freeport. That's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
And that may boost either one of those teams maybe to a playoff. You never know.
That is a huge, huge game when you look at playoff implications.
Also, Harlem will be at East, and Belvedere will be at Jefferson.
Yeah.